Imagine opening a banking app, but instead of a bank behind the screen, there is software. No branch, no clerk, no company approving each button you press. Just code that holds assets, follows rules, and lets people trade, borrow, lend, and send money directly. That is the basic idea behind DeFi. DeFi stands for Decentralized Finance. It is a name for financial tools built on public blockchains. These tools try to recreate parts of the financial system, like exchanges, loans, savings products, and payments, using open software instead of traditional institutions. DeFi can sound complicated because it mixes finance words with crypto words. You hear tokens, wallets, smart contracts, liquidity, collateral, and liquidations. But underneath the jargon, most of DeFi is about a simple question. Can financial services run through shared software that anyone can inspect and use? Think of traditional finance like a restaurant. You order from a menu, and the restaurant controls the kitchen. DeFi is more like a public vending machine. The rules are visible, the machine runs automatically, and anyone with the right token can use it. That does not make it risk-free, but it changes who is in control. A blockchain is a shared record book maintained by many computers. When you use DeFi, your transactions are written into that record book. This matters because the system does not need one central database controlled by one company. The blockchain becomes the public settlement layer. Smart contracts are programs stored on a blockchain. They can receive tokens, send tokens, and enforce rules automatically. In DeFi, smart contracts are the engine. They can run a swap, manage a lending pool, or check whether a loan has enough collateral. The word smart can be misleading. A smart contract does not understand your situation, forgive mistakes, or make moral judgments. It just runs code. If the code says a transaction is allowed, it happens. If the code says it is not allowed, it does not happen. In most DeFi apps, you do not create an account with an email and password. You connect a crypto wallet. The wallet holds your private keys, which prove that you control your assets. This is powerful, but it also means losing your keys can mean losing access. Self-custody means you control your own crypto, instead of leaving it with a company. In DeFi, this is often the default. You can connect to apps directly from your wallet. But self-custody also moves responsibility onto you. There may be no support desk that can reverse a bad transaction. One of the biggest ideas in DeFi is that financial software can be open. Many DeFi protocols publish their rules on-chain, and some publish their code publicly. This allows developers to build on top of each other, like stacking financial building blocks. A DeFi protocol is the underlying set of smart contracts. A DeFi app is often the website or interface that helps people use those contracts. This difference matters. A website can go offline, change design, or block access, while the smart contracts may still exist on the blockchain. The easiest DeFi service to understand is a token swap. A swap lets someone trade one crypto asset for another. For example, a person might trade one token for a stablecoin without using a traditional order book or a centralized exchange account. Many DeFi swaps use liquidity pools. A liquidity pool is a shared pot of tokens locked in a smart contract. Traders swap against the pool, and the price changes based on how much of each token is inside the pool. Where do the tokens in the pool come from? They come from users called liquidity providers. These users deposit tokens into the pool so others can trade. In return, they may receive a share of trading fees, depending on the protocol rules. In a basic automated market maker, the price is not set by a human dealer. It is guided by a formula. When traders buy more of one token from the pool, that token becomes more expensive inside the pool. When they sell into the pool, it becomes cheaper. Slippage means the final price of a trade is different from the price you expected. This can happen when a trade is large compared with the pool, or when the market moves before the transaction is confirmed. Beginners often underestimate slippage because the swap screen looks simple. DeFi users also pay network fees, often called gas fees. These fees pay the blockchain validators, or miners, who process transactions. Sometimes the fee is small, and sometimes it can be expensive. The exact cost depends on the blockchain and how busy the network is. If this explanation is helping DeFi feel less mysterious, consider subscribing. This channel breaks down AI, crypto, and future technology in plain English, so you can understand the tools shaping the world without needing a technical background. Another major part of DeFi is lending. Instead of a bank collecting deposits and issuing loans, a lending protocol can pool assets from users. Borrowers can take loans from that pool if they meet the rules written into the smart contract. People may lend assets into a DeFi protocol because borrowers pay interest. The interest rate is usually not chosen by a bank manager. It often changes automatically based on supply and demand. If many people want to borrow an asset, the rate may rise. If few people want it, the rate may fall. People borrow in DeFi for different reasons. Some want liquidity without selling an asset. Some want to use borrowed tokens in another strategy. Some are experimenting. The important point is that borrowing from a DeFi protocol usually requires collateral. Collateral is an asset you lock up to secure a loan. In traditional finance, a house can be collateral for a mortgage. In DeFi, crypto tokens can be collateral for a crypto loan. If the borrower does not keep enough collateral, the protocol can protect the lending pool. Many DeFi loans are over-collateralized. That means the borrower must deposit more value than they borrow. This may sound strange, but it helps protect the system because crypto prices can move quickly. The extra collateral acts like a safety cushion. Lending apps often show a health indicator for a loan. This indicator tells you how close the position is to danger. If the collateral value falls too much, or the borrowed asset becomes too large compared with the collateral, the loan can become eligible for liquidation. Liquidation is when part or all of a borrower's collateral is sold to repay the loan. It is not a punishment from a person. It is an automatic risk control. The protocol uses liquidation to make sure lenders can be repaid, even when prices move against borrowers. Beginners can be surprised by liquidations because they may think of a loan as something they can simply pay back later. But in DeFi, the value of collateral can change every minute. If the market moves fast, liquidation can happen before a person has time to react. Stablecoins are crypto tokens designed to track the value of another asset, often a national currency like the US dollar. They are widely used in DeFi because they make it easier to trade, lend, borrow, and measure value without constantly switching back to a bank account. The word stablecoin does not mean all risks are equal. Some stablecoins are backed by reserves held by companies. Some are backed by crypto collateral. Some use more complex mechanisms. A beginner should not assume that every stablecoin is equally safe just because the name sounds stable. A key DeFi idea is composability. This means one protocol can connect with another, like building blocks. A wallet can connect to a swap protocol. A lending protocol can use price data. A new app can combine existing tools into a new experience. People sometimes call DeFi protocols money Legos. The phrase means developers can build new financial products by combining existing pieces. This can make innovation faster, but it can also connect risks. If one important piece breaks, other apps that depend on it may be affected. Blockchains cannot automatically know the price of Bitcoin, Ether, or a real-world currency. They need outside data sources called oracles. Oracles bring price information into smart contracts. Lending and liquidation systems often depend on these price feeds. If a protocol uses bad price data, the consequences can be serious. A wrong price can affect trades, loans, and liquidations. That is why oracle design matters. DeFi is not just about code on a blockchain. It is also about the quality of the information that code relies on. Some DeFi protocols have governance tokens. These tokens may allow holders to vote on certain protocol changes, such as fee settings, supported assets, or risk parameters. Governance sounds democratic, but in practice, it can be complex, and voting power may be concentrated. A common misunderstanding is that every DeFi project is fully decentralized. In reality, decentralization is a spectrum. Some projects have open smart contracts but centralized websites. Some have admin keys. Some rely on small teams. The label DeFi does not automatically mean there is no central control. One reason DeFi matters is transparency. On public blockchains, transactions and contract balances can often be viewed by anyone. This does not mean every user's identity is obvious, but it does mean the movement of funds is more visible than in many traditional financial systems. Another reason DeFi matters is access. In many cases, a person only needs an internet connection, a compatible wallet, and crypto assets to interact with a protocol. There may be no branch hours, no local bank account requirement, and no traditional application form. The trade-off is that open access can come with less protection. Traditional finance may be slower and more restricted, but it often includes customer service, legal processes, and fraud controls. DeFi gives users more direct control, but direct control also means direct exposure to mistakes and risks. Smart contract risk means the code may have a bug, weakness, or design flaw. If a contract holds valuable assets, attackers have a strong reason to look for mistakes. Audits can reduce risk, but they cannot guarantee that a protocol is safe. DeFi also attracts scams. A fake token, fake website, or malicious approval request can drain a wallet. One dangerous habit is clicking quickly because an interface looks professional. In crypto, a polished website does not prove that the project is trustworthy. When you use DeFi, you may approve a smart contract to move tokens from your wallet. This is normal, but it can be risky if you approve the wrong contract or give unlimited permission to a malicious one. Beginners should understand approvals before connecting wallets to unknown apps. Many users move assets between blockchains using bridges. A bridge can be useful, but it adds another layer of risk. If the bridge fails or is attacked, the assets connected to it may be affected. Moving across chains is not the same as sending a normal payment. A major misunderstanding is that DeFi yield is free money. Yield usually comes from somewhere. It may come from trading fees, borrower interest, token incentives, or taking on risk. If the source of yield is unclear, that is a reason to slow down and ask more questions. Some protocols reward users with extra tokens to attract liquidity. This can help a new protocol grow, but it can also create temporary numbers that do not last. If users are only there for rewards, liquidity can leave when incentives shrink. Liquidity providers can face impermanent loss. This happens when the price of tokens in a pool changes compared with simply holding them. The name is confusing because the loss can become real when liquidity is withdrawn. Fees may offset it, but not always. Another misunderstanding is that DeFi is completely private. Public blockchains often show wallet addresses and transaction history. A wallet address may not show a real name by itself, but patterns can sometimes reveal information. DeFi is usually pseudonymous, not fully anonymous. DeFi also exists in a changing legal environment. Rules can vary by country, by protocol design, and by how people use the service. This is one reason beginners should avoid assuming that a protocol is legal, compliant, or protected just because it is available online. Let's connect to pieces. A user opens a wallet, connects to a swap app, and trades one token for a stablecoin. The swap uses a liquidity pool. The user pays a network fee. The transaction is recorded on the blockchain, and the smart contract updates the pool balances. Now imagine the user deposits a token as collateral into a lending protocol. They borrow a smaller amount of stablecoins. If their collateral keeps enough value, the loan stays healthy. If the collateral falls too much, the protocol may liquidate part of it to repay the debt. DeFi is good at making financial tools programmable, transparent, and globally accessible. It lets developers create markets and services that run around the clock. It also lets users interact directly with software, rather than relying on every process to be handled by a centralized company. DeFi is not good at protecting people from every mistake. It can be difficult to use, expensive during busy periods, and risky when protocols are poorly designed. It also does not remove the need for trust completely. It changes what you trust, from institutions to code, incentives, data, and governance. The best beginner mindset is curiosity mixed with caution. Before using any DeFi protocol, try to understand what the app does, where returns come from, what permissions you are giving, what could fail, and whether you can afford the risk. Understanding comes before action. In one sentence, DeFi is open financial software that uses blockchains and smart contracts to let people trade, lend, borrow, and build financial tools without relying on the same intermediaries as traditional finance. It is powerful, but it is not magic. DeFi matters because it asks a big question about the future of finance. What happens when money, markets, and contracts become programmable on public networks? The answer is still being built, and it includes both real innovation and real danger. If you still have questions about DeFi, leave them in the comments. You can ask about swaps, lending, stablecoins, wallets, liquidations, or any term that still feels confusing. Also, tell me what future technology topic you want explained next.